This is the Dover Download Podcast. My name is Christopher Parker, and for the past 25 years, I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from, and talking to a variety of volunteer, staff, and community members. This podcast explores conversations, activities, and a variety of policies and programs which exist here in Dover to improve the community in one way or another. It's not too often here on the Dover Download Podcast that we get to take an episode and split it into two, and we are going to do that with this episode because we are going to chat with Dover Green himself, Mayor Bob Carrier, who is retiring after 18 years on the council and countless more volunteering for this community. So we're going to have two episodes. This episode, the first one, will focus on Bob's history here in Dover, the activities outside of the city council that you may or may not be aware he's been involved with. And the next episode, we'll talk about his 18-year run, including the past 6 as mayor here in the city of Dover. Bob Carrier, welcome to the Dover Download Podcast.
Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that. I appreciate coming today and excited to talk a little bit about some history in Dover and how I've been involved and still am involved, for sure.
Yeah, I want to make sure we get that across, that you're not moving, you're not
going
to stop, you're just not going to be on the council, but you're still going to be
absolutely
involved in the community. I'm not just saying this because you're sitting across from me, but I don't know that there's anyone else really that when you think of Dover, I think of you. Like, you are one of those people that just embodies the community, loves the community, is the community, regardless of the tenure on the council, right? I mean, to me, you just live and breathe it.
I really appreciate that compliment. You know, for over the years, many years, ever since I got out of college, I have been involved in the city. I've volunteered, and it could be the menial things that you volunteer for, but I showed up at everything. I still show up at everything. And it had nothing to do about it with any titles or anything like that. It's because, A, it's respect. Secondly, it's involvement. And any which way that I could always take my hand and reach out and help, I was there and have been there, and I enjoy it.
We met probably 20, 21 years ago, and I remember early on you saying to me that, just similar to what you just said, that it's not about the recognition, it's about you want to make the community a better place, and so everyone has an obligation to show up and do something.
Right.
Minimal or maximum. If we don't contribute,
right.
My mom used to say, if you don't vote, you can't complain about who got elected.
Exactly.
And it's a similar thing. If you don't show up and be part of the community, don't complain that it's not the direction you want to go in.
I think the biggest thing is when you start volunteering on some boards, commissions, or anything else, you know, the simple things like I mentioned a minute ago, you understand community, understand the heartbeat of the city tremendously. You get to meet a lot of new people. And that morphs into between the parents, then the grandkids, and right down the line. So when I look back, a lot of times I know the father and mother, and then they had children, and now their children are having children. Yep. And it's really a legacy. It's unbelievable. And that's exactly what the fun of it is. It's good. It's, you know, to go to all of these things. I was heavily involved with the Dover Baseball League. I was a past president, and that was a lot of fun. I mean, we were traveling families. We were, and we got to know a lot of other families and different community members, everything. And so it in the end, when you look into the city. And I can go anywhere in the city, and there's always somebody that I can pick up on, say, I recognize that person, or I know that person, or I know the last name, or something like that. It's because I've been to many, many things.
So you grew up here?
Yes.
You grew up on Hill Street?
Yes, I did.
Your dad worked at the shipyard?
He did. That? Retired from the shipyard.
You got a brother, Ernie?
Yes.
Presume you have a mother.
My mom was Evelyn, and she was a stay-at-home mom, homemaker, more or less, and she tutored French, and I grew up in a very Catholic house.
Okay. My
aunt was a nun. My mother grew up in a convent, and I knew a little bit of French back then. My whole family spoke French when my brother was young, And I don't know what happened to me. I didn't.
If it was a Catholic household speaking French, I'm going to guess you went to St. Charles.
No, actually, my brother went to St. Charles, or we went to St. Charles, and for some reason, my parents says, "Well, we got to put you in St. Mary's because they're full or something." I said, "All right." So I went to St. Mary's. I ended up being an altar boy for 5 years, and I don't know. And then I did go to church a lot. I unfortunately don't right now, but maybe on a later date.
Yeah.
And I do respect. I do.
You might not recall, but I think it was in 2007, somewhere around there. I told you my wife and I were looking at a house, and we were looking at a house on Hill Street, and you said, I grew up in that house. And it was the house that you ended up moving across the street.
Yes, yes, I did. I did.
And my brother lives in the backyard.
He does. Yeah. We had great neighborhoods. I mean, back then, I grew up, I had a great home life. I had a great growing up experience. I really did. I mean, I had friends on every street corner. We always got together. We rode bikes. We played baseball. We played soccer. We did all kinds of things, board games. But that's what it was. It wasn't the cell phones. It wasn't the TV. We were outside, Mother said, all right, get outside, go play, this and that. So that's what we did till 9:00 at night when the whistle blew, more or less. And say, okay, you got to come in, take your bath, and get ready for school.
So you go to Dover High?
I went from Hahn Street School, grades 1 through 8, and then Dover High 4 years. And then from there, I went to Plymouth. It was State College, not university, for 4 years.
And you studied building trades?
I know. I came out of Plymouth with Bachelor of Science degree. I did business and marketing is what I...
So how do you go from that into the building trades?
Well, my father, was very handy from the Navy Yard. He did X-ray on welding. He worked on the thresher. But he was very handy. He was an electrician, carpenter, / his father was a carpenter. My brother morphed into, the trades. My family, extended family, are all in the trades. And I picked it up. I just started going, and, it was a learning curve. You just do more and more, and then you either get worse or you get better.
Right.
But I had a lot of good mentors, and I've been self-employed for 50 years.
So a benefit of that is it allows you to focus on the community when you want to focus on the community.
Yes. Yeah.
So what was the first sort of volunteerism that you practiced?
Oh, turning back the clock, way back?
Yeah.
I would have to say something to do with bicycles, and maybe, competitions on something like that. I would have to say any other volunteering was probably involved with the school systems and doing certain things, helping out teachers. I mean, I'm going way back.
Yep.
And doing things like that.
Did Dover baseball come from your sons being in baseball, or was that something you were interested in anyways?
I was in actually with some of these friends that are in the city of Dover that are my age. Kevin McEnany, to speak of, he and I were on the same baseball team.
Oh, really?
And we're going back to when we were probably 12, 13. So we were always involved with something. We did some baseball and all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So the volunteering came, like I say, it's hard to pinpoint because later it got more organized. Back then it was just, I can help out. I can do something. But it wasn't like as organized as it is now. There's a name for it in a volunteer group or something. Back then it was just, no, Mrs. Smith, sure. Yeah, I can come after school. I can do this. I can do that. That's the kind of volunteering I started off with in elementary school and all that. Then it morphed into, when I got into high school, it was a lot more intense. I got on a lot of school stuff, trying to figure out way back when with Scotty Layton and Larry David and all that, figure out some assessments for gym rentals and sport complex rentals.
Okay.
And we tried to figure out a value to that, how much to charge, and this. Now that goes back quite a ways too.
So prior to the council, you were on the rec advisory board for a number of years as well.
26 years.
26 years. That's if not a record, that's got to be close, right? I mean,
I don't know.
it's a lot of commitment to youth athletics here in this community.
When I came aboard the rec advisory, the rec director was Cova Gregg.
Yep.
So I've lived through all the Gary Bannon through his retirement. So that goes back, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I was totally involved in that. We did a lot of, assessments on basketball leagues, baseball leagues, and how it went into the gyms and what are we going to do? And
So I guess the conundrum that I see then is, how do we not have curling if you've been so involved in recreation?
There wasn't a budget presentation from the rec director, Gary Bannon, that I didn't bring that up. It says, well, I understand your request. However, where's curling? And I'm still on that.
Yeah.
I'm still on that.
It's good to have goals.
Hopefully. Someday could do that. But
I think now that you're not going to be on the council for the upcoming budget, you come up to the podium and still ask the question.
Well, it's funny because, people say, congratulations, this and that, but they say, you don't have to worry about the budget and all that. I says, absolutely not. I worry about it. I says, I'm still thinking it right now. I'm thinking it to maybe talk to Mike if I have an idea on something, Mike or you, to say, how about this on the capital improvements program? How about this? So we cut back this. And I'm very concerned. I am.
Well, you're still a resident. You're still a property owner. You're still an invested community member.
And, but it's funny because there's a lot of new people that's coming into the community. It's wonderful. And I used to boast before I ever was on a council or anything else, and I was on rec advisory, I used to come and I used to say to the city manager, Mike, and even others, I'd say, listen, if you don't enhance the parks and recreation, what you're doing to people that are coming into the community, are you falsifying what we have? Because they come in, they buy a house, and they start saying we have wonderful recreation, and you start cutting that out. That's misrepresentation.
So we'll circle back a little, but it always has struck me that your two passions have been community building by welcoming people to come in. Everyone's welcome. Everyone needs to be part of the team. And the volunteerism aspect, that we build that community once it's here by continuing to reinvest through volunteerism.
Right. And that's exactly true. That's what you do.
So we met in this building.
Oh, yeah.
Because you were part of the renovation and visioning for the McCullough Center.
You brought donuts. You were very nice.
I did. It was my task for the beginning. It was stop at Dunkin' Donuts on my way in and get.
So I stayed on.
We bonded over.
Oh, we did. Right off. That's a good guy.
Meanwhile, Steve Stansel would be like, you spent how much on donuts?
Yeah. Okay, slow down, Steve. Slow down. We'll give you a little extra when you're umpiring on the leagues.
Yeah.
That's what he was doing, too.
I said to him once, it's just like in college. People only go to things that have pizza.
I could name a couple, too. I won't get into that.
You didn't, when you were just saying where you went to school, you didn't go in this building. What was it? Just wanting to be part of the community? What made you want to be on the team for this building?
Through all the years, I'm very, very familiar with construction.
Yep.
I know how to read blueprints, and I've morphed into really intensely understanding and all of that. So anything that involved a renovation or anything like that, it just fits the bill for what I do. And I've gone into, expanded my boundaries. I've done additions. I've done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I've taken it to a level from mentorships from guys that were incredibly seasoned that taught me and said, no, look at this, or understand this and do that. And so, I've learned an awful lot through the years. It takes a long time,
Yep.
And you still learn all the time. There's new stuff that comes out all the time.
I think we've talked about this at the council level numerous times. If you're not evolving, you're static. And if you're static, you're dying.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind, it's the same thing with learning.
Yeah.
If you don't continue to learn as you age,
right.
you don't continue to evolve, and you just,
right.
you you recess,
You're right.
go backwards, which isn't what anyone, community or people, should want to do.
One thing I always have done too, between any boards, commissions I was on, rec advisory, intercouncil, or whatever, I've always looked at people that I've connected with through whatever groups I was involved with and say, man, she or he would be a great fit for a particular committee or something like that. So I always lobbied.
Yeah.
I did. And I could, if I sat here and really thought about it and named all the people that I brought forth for council and before that, rec advisory and that, those were worker bees. Those are people that had common sense and came forth and, you can agree to disagree, but at least, you can have conversation about it.
Yeah.
And these are the people that I went after all the time. And there was a lot of people, including Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis, what are you doing? Well, good. Come on.
Yeah. John O'Connor's
John O'Connor.
good example of that.
Yeah. Lindsay, we were on a committee. He says, hey, what are you doing? Yeah.
Before we move into the council conversation, I want to stay on your pre-council years a little. So you're on the rec advisory board. You're on the McConnell Center committee. You mentioned working with the schools and looking at gym rentals. And did you ever think about getting on the school board or think about that side of things? You've always been involved since you've been on the council with the JBCs for the schools as well. You clearly have a passion for that. Obviously, your former partner had a passion for that.
Yes.
Did you ever consider doing the school board?
I would have to say there was a consideration, but I felt that I wanted to take it to another level, a level of making a stronger decision.
Okay.
And that's with budgets and all that. And I could be on the school side and help out, do what you do.
Yeah.
But going to the council, I would have to say, well, then I can, really help out.
Yeah.
Because I can say, well, and lobby for, maybe the raises, lobby for an enhancement of a building. And those are decision makers on that.
It's a different level of policy making.
But as it turned out, I thought about it. I did. But I could tell you how I morphed into the council, but I think that's a different
we'll come back
category on that. But,
one of the things that I've said numerous times, and you're one of the inspirations for, is I think that there are three types of people that live in Dover. The first is people that grew up here that say, the 60s and 70s were fine. I don't know why we need to do any better.
Yeah.
The second, which is, I lived through the 60s and 70s. It was fine, but we can do better.
Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah.
And then the third is the people that moved here after 2000 that say, you mean there was a time when the Children's Museum wasn't here? There was a time when we didn't have a vibrant downtown?
Yeah.
There was a time when we didn't have X? And that's a whole different category of people. But I hope, having grown up here in the 80s and 90s, that I'm of the mindset that you have, which is the past is the past, and it's fine.
Yeah.
No bad.
Yeah.
But why would we settle for the past? You're always looking forward and thinking, how do we make these iterative changes to continue to make the community more welcoming, more sustainable, both financially and environmentally?
Yeah.
What drives that in you? Why are you thinking positively going forward? And not just saying it was good enough. Why do we need to change?
Well, it was, you turn back the clock, and I can certainly turn back the clock and look at the downtown when it was a ghost town, and how enhancements of the downtown created more businesses, and they survived. Then they were in trouble, some of them, and this and that. And then the malls came and people weren't going downtown, and, yada, yada, yada. So taking a look at that, I think that one thing I've always said to, a lot of people, I said, especially the people that have been here for all their life or whatever, I say, the first words I say, the world changed. I says, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Jones, I couldn't agree with you more. I says, I had a happy young life, and I did a lot, and my neighbors were part of my families, and I says, as things changed, kids moved on, new kids came in, neighborhoods were created, but they weren't the same. And then, like I said, the world changed. There were other activities, more activities that children could be involved in, more organized sports that people could be involved with. So I think that took away from some of just, surviving in neighborhoods and having to create your own fun, because there were ballparks, there was fun spots, there was all kinds of things, bowling alleys, everything like that. So there were other things that you could do. And then it started changing all the time. And then, businesses started changing. I mean, I tell people in a lot of ways, when I talked about downtown, I could almost start from the top of the upper square and go down to the lower square and name every business that was in there, because I used to go down. W.T. Grant's, J.J. Newberry's, Gallery of Gifts, right down, all of them. Morton's, all of them, Farnham's.
Yeah.
No, those were Keystone, I mean, it's funny because I'm doing work for a gentleman whose mother owned Laura's Candy Shop, Mrs. Mitchell, So, I mean, we talk and we go back and, it touches my heart to be able to understand that with the city of Dover. At least I have 70 years invested, 70 plus. And I know that
you're only 29.
Yeah. Well, I pressed that advance button on that. But no, I'm very happy. I'm blessed. I'm blessed to know some, how it all started. A lot of it, not all started.
Right.
I mean, it goes back 100, 200, 400 years.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's different. But there's connections there. There's definitely.
All right. So let's transition. And as we end this episode to start the next one of your key relationships and one of your mentors was Bobby Keays.
Yeah.
Who was on the council towards the end of his life.
Yes, he was.
You knew him through Dover baseball, and I'm sure through other community, because it was another one of those people that had his fingers in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Let's say Bobby was the Ward 1 counselor.
Yeah.
And he passed away.
Yes.
And that opened that seat to the council.
Yes.
It was a special election, and you were one of, 5 people?
5. Yeah.
What made you think at that point, all right, I'm ready, I'm going to do it?
Oh, that's an easy answer. Bob Keays, that's one of the neighborhoods that I used to ride my bike, and I knew all of them. The Georges, the Luciuses, right, a lot of sports, the Hurleys, I mean, right down the line. And Bob's kids, and a lot of it was tied into baseball, and we knew each other and everything. And Bob Keays, I knew him for, I can't tell you how many years before anything got involved in the council. And so he ran for the council and everything. And I was basically his campaign manager.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So all the signs that Bob Keays had was in my truck, and he'd get into my passenger seat and say, okay, we got this one to put a sign in. And the funny part, Bob, you don't have to just show me where you want. No, I'm going to get out. I'm going to point. And it had to be stuck in a certain area of the ground and everything. So I took him to all these baseball tournaments. I took care of Bob a lot. He leaned on me a lot too, especially when he got sick.
Yeah.
When he got sick, I was in Summersworth in a tournament, and he called me up and he says, I need some help. I says, what's the matter? He says he fell. And a plate of food went on the living room, and I says, I'll be right there. I got there, I got them all squared away and everything else. And no names mentioned, but other people thought they were tight with Bob and that, but it was all after something. There was a predetermined, there was something. I wanted nothing. And he said, he got sick, and he talked to me, he says, you got to promise me something. I says, so what do you need? What? He says, if something happens to me, because I'm not well, you need to run for council. I says, no, there's nothing wrong. You're going to be fine. I'm not running for council. And he says, no, you got to promise me. I says, oh, I can't promise you that. I says, but I will do my best to stay volunteering. And I had no predetermined point of that. And then it got close, and then I saw, again, in volunteering and everything, I saw a couple of people, when this, signing up for a special election, I says, no way can I put have these people, a couple people that would put their name in that.
Yeah.
It's not, I didn't think it was the best fit for the city.
Yeah.
Good people, but maybe not the best fit. And so I put my name in. I says, well, whatever. And so it was Ward 1, and I lived in Ward 1.
Convenient.
Yeah. So I ran, and, I won. And it was a learning curve. I sat in and on the council, and, I was quiet because I need to learn. I had to learn. I had to listen. And I had to, I said a few things on this, and I believe it was Scott Myers, and he was a great mayor. He I respected him highly. He showed me a lot, and Mike always showed me a lot that way, and we did, and you the same. I mean, that's, and so, the next term I started talking more and this and that. And then if I wanted to move or anything, I wanted to represent more people. So I put my name in at large, and I won at large. And then I morphed into, I think Dean was the mayor, and I became the deputy mayor. And then there was an election, and Karen ran, and she became mayor. And then I was her deputy mayor for 6 years on that. And then I ran, and she actually ran again. And she said she wasn't gonna, but she did. And that's okay, whatever. She changed her mind, and I won. And that's where I'm at. That was 6 years ago.
So we will explore more of that second conversation at the next podcast. So thank you for coming in and giving us your history and what led you to the council. And we'll come right back next week and finish the conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's a lot of fun to talk about it too.
Good.
Because I believe in it, and I'm not done yet.
Thanks for listening to the Dover Download this week. If you like what you heard, subscribe through your favorite podcast aggregator. And if you have something you want to hear a topic on, let us know. Finally, this is just one of the many ways we share information about the city of Dover. You can subscribe to the Dover Download's email newsletter every week, or other newsletters that we have, by going to the City of Dover homepage, www.dover.nh.gov. Have a great week.